The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
You're listening to
Wrestling to the Max.
Alert, clear all channels.
This is an exclusive.
How you like that?
And your host, Gary Vaughn, Sean Garmer, and Paul Vieser.
King of Sport. New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Hello and welcome to the Wrestling to the Max New Japan New Beginning in Sapporo 2017. Yes, that's the entire name of the show. I am your host, Sean Garmer. With me here, Mr. Paul Vieser.
Hey, yo.
Alright, well, this is the third show we've done in a row here. So if we're tired, I'm sorry.
Forgive us, yeah.
For time reasons, I didn't watch the first three matches. So, kind of give people the lowdown on, is any of these you kind of need to, anything you kind of took out of it or that you feel like needs to be watched by anybody?
I think the first two certainly depend on how interested you are in watching Young Lions matches. It's something I enjoy actually a lot about watching Puro and just Japanese wrestling in general, is watching these young guys get time to work with the established people. Suzuki-Gun goes out and beats Hirai Kawato and Kushida in the opener. Kawato, of course, takes the fall, but I think he looks fine. He's certainly no David Finlay, Jay White, Sho and Yo at this point in time, but he hasn't been around nearly as long either, so that's probably unfair to judge him against those, but I think he's coming along okay. I think Hinare is the biggest gem, I think, out of the group so far. Oka is still Oka, right? I'm still struggling to see what New Japan sees in him other than the look, but I think he works fine for what he is now. And the Oka, Hinare, and Yoshitatsu obviously lose to Tenkoji and Nagata. Nobody's shocked there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the chaos in Old Men or New Japan Junior Heavyweight Dads and Shibata is fine. I was surprised Ospreay got the win. But him and Shibata have some more interaction that just makes you ready for that next match that they're going to have at the next New Beginning show in Osaka.
Yeah, certainly. I think, it's one of these things, like, I mean, the Young Lions look okay, but they don't have the seasoning of the other guys that we got to see. Plus, they had so many Sho and why can't I remember his name right now?
Yohei Komatsu.
Yeah, Yohei. They had so many matches against each other. They were like always the first match on the card for a lot of that first that year, and then Finlay and Jay White got to have that sort of same thing here. So we haven't gotten that so much with any of these Young Lions because, number one, New Japan just has so much talent now. That they don't have a lot of room on these cards for them to work unless you're watching a lot of these road twos or whatever. And then, the guy that kind of had that stare down with Billy Gunn, he's even bigger than Oka. He's the more ripped guy, and we haven't really seen him much at all, in any of these. So I wonder if he's just really, really green or they're just really trying to protect him. I don't know, but interesting that they haven't had him have matches. Speaking of a guy that they probably shouldn't have let have matches is Mr. Takashi Iizuka, because every time he has a match, it's one of those whatevers. Yoshihashi, though, he is great, and he kind of makes up for it here, just taking the punishment, and then he luckily gets the win in a match that goes a little bit over 7 minutes. I mean, it's whatever. I mean, you weren't expecting anything great out of this anyway. You kind of knew what it was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, this was never going to be lights out or anything like that, but I think you get, if you're unfamiliar with Azuka, and I'm sure maybe a lot of the newer New Japan fans aren't because they've been obviously in Noah for a while, but I think this is probably the best you're going to get out of Azuka outside of a tag. He, the psychotic brawling, and Yoshihashi plays a really good sympathetic babyface, and him getting the win, very necessary. I think it might end up being a bigger win than we give him credit for, because Azuka and him is obviously a very big mismatch, and for him to get the victory feels big for me, especially after the beating he took in the match.
Yeah, certainly. I think it kind of started a trend that I did not see coming at all.
Yeah.
Of Chaos was the one that ruled on this night, not Suzuki-Gun. So definitely they went with the whole, we're using Suzuki-Gun to make our guys look better right now instead of the other way around, which is an interesting take on this. But I think considering a lot of that is the sort of the old guard of New Japan, I guess it sort of makes sense in a way. And speaking of old men, you got, oh my god, this is tremendous. I love this because, like, Tanahashi, Nakanishi, and Taguchi all wearing the damn sunglasses is just great. Like, and then they take this picture and Taguchi's got the stupid Sith with the jacket on.
Yeah, he's got the Dime Story Evil outfit on. It's glorious.
Yeah, it's just, oh man. It's so funny. It's like, I love the fact that Tanahashi's just going with it. Just, I love it. Old man Tanahashi going in there now. Just, why not, right? That music still sucks, but I can fast forward it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Michael Elgin and Dragon Lee with the rap music. Why not, too? So I was wondering if this is one of those like CMLL moments where maybe somebody asked, "Hey, do you guys have the license for this thing?" "Yeah, sure, whatever." And maybe we don't, but play it anyway. So getting past the entrances here, this was a really good match. You had Michael Elgin just absolutely destroying dudes with German suplexes, and Dragon Lee looking good too. Dragon Lee, of course, getting the pin on Bushi to sort of solidify him once again to be going against a match that's already made, of course, for the show in Osaka with Lee and Takahashi. But this was just one of those big New Japan, 10-man, 8-man tags that with Los Ingobernables involved, it was going to be good. And I will say, like that spot on I talk about entrances again, but like with all 5 of those Los Ingobernables just all in a row, that looked badass.
Yeah, that was really, really cool. And I think LIJ they're just so good, right? All of them are awesome to super awesome to out of this world amazing, and there's just so much talent in that team that it's. I want to see all of them succeed, but there's only so many spots, right? And you look at the other side, and I think Elgin just looked amazing in this. And the crowd in Sapporo, I don't think was great because every single match had to really go out there and really try to earn the noise and make them care. And I think Elgin certainly did that in this, as did Dragon Lee, who was his usual spectacular self too. But this is just so much fun. And Elgin playing the no-nonsense, coming, like, I don't want you, I want Naito, and then when somebody does attack him, he just beats the bejesus out of him until he gets to Naito. I just love it. I just love it so much.
Yes, I love it. And, can't wait for that match on Saturday.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
It's going to be good stuff, and, you hope it delivers like it can. And then after this we get intermission, and of course then you get your first of your straight quadret of title matches here. And you start with the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles. They're Roppongi Vice defending against Taka and Taichi. Lots of interference by Kanemaru and Desperado, and even the woman, who I don't know if she has a name or not, but she gets involved in a very pivotal point of the match too.
Miho Abe is her name.
Well, Miss Abe, she gets in a corner and sort of makes it to where I think it was Beretta doesn't accidentally hit her or something.
Mm.
And they also played up a little bit of the stuff about Rocky and Beretta, but not so much here. It was more about it was sort of caused by Desperado and Kanemaru kind of getting involved and like taking Rocky's attention away or taking him off the apron or whatever, or the same thing to Beretta. So a lot of times, a lot of this match was Beretta by himself.
Mm-hmm.
And he's having to fight off both guys. You know, Taichi is Taichi. There's nothing about what he did in this match that makes you go, well, I have a different feeling on Taichi at this point. Taka was still great. Look, the dude gets older, but he's still delivering. And he carried this match for his team, doing an Asai moonsault to the outside still. He's trying to get that Michinoku driver like nobody's business, but he keeps getting blocked all the time. And eventually, you get the Strong Zero, and Roppongi Vice retains. After the match, Kanemaru and Desperado challenge. So you get rid of the better tag team, and you get the worst tag team? Okay.
Well, you win some, lose some, right? I think, first things first, the opening's really funny, because Miho comes over and tries to use her feminine wiles to distract Beretta and Romero, and Beretta has none of it, climbs the turnbuckle, and then pretty much, without taking his pants down, just moons her. This is great. We don't talk enough good things about Beretta whenever we do these, but he's been awesome in these matches, and I think he's almost undervalued at this point, but he's so good. And I mean, besides going splat earlier this year at Wrestle Kingdom, he was great in this, and Taka, you said, was great too. But the thing I think I noticed most about him since the last time I saw him is he's starting to fill out into that old man frame, right, where he's starting to get a little chunkier around parts. Mm. So I was like, are you still a junior heavyweight, Taka? Because I don't know anymore.
Probably not, but, he's still small.
Yeah, he is small. He is small.
If he wants to go get whacked by Makabe, I guess. Go ahead, right? I think there was a lot of interference in this thing too. Just lots, bordering on way too much. It's
what Suzuki-Gun does, though.
Right. I mean, you think that Bullet Club and LIJ are bad.
Yeah.
You get
nothing on these cats.
No. And they have many years of experience doing it too, so that helps them on their side. But so again, I know this was kind of a split on the preview roundtable, but really thought this might be one of those where you see Taka and Taichi taken and Roppongi Vice retained. So that's good for the junior titles, because a lot of times they play hot potato with those things.
Right.
And then we move on to definitely the second best match on the show, because Juice was absolutely on fire. I mean, you couldn't play the NBA Jam soundbite fast enough, because Juice just came out of the gate like this. I mean, absolutely railed on Goto with those lariats and then the cannonball in the corner, and then he gets so fired up that he goes and tries to kill himself doing a cannonball into the barricade because Goto moves, and I don't know how he has a back still. My lord. I don't know how the barricade doesn't have the imprint of Juice's back, honestly. But, Juice was also smart in this. He tried to escape every move that Goto had, and he did. I mean, he was countering everything. Literally, this was Goto doing an escape job. Like, Goto just, eventually was just able to take advantage of Juice's eagerness and hit a bunch of moves in a row and win. Because if not, Juice was just going to let him have it. And this is the one where you really felt the whole, man, damn, if they were somebody else, they would have been going nuts for Juice.
Yeah. I mean, Goto damn near killed him with the GTR to put him away, too, which I loved the story of this the whole time. Juice still playing off the young lion fire that he has, really coming out and showing, I think, everybody really what he's got and what he can be like. And boy, does he belong. Somebody who first signed him, like, man, what are you doing here, bud? And then just took to it like a duck in water, and here he is. And I mean, he's so good. He's so good, and he just brings you into the match. And Goto, I love Goto so much, and this is another great reason why he continues, even though he is the overwhelmingly, favored person to win this, still makes you feel like Juice had a shot at winning this, and just, but what you said, he had to pretty much kill him to keep him down, and that's what you wanted. And I'm with you. The Sapporo crowd was not into Juice at all. They were barely into Goto, and I mean, I think they were all just there to watch the main event. But it was hard to blame them. But man, this was really, really good.
Yeah, this was like, I think you didn't get enough back and forth with him and Goto for me to really, go into the great territory. But it was right on that edge. Because it kind of got cut off right before you would get into that, it's going to kick into this next gear, whatever, which I think is fine, because, Juice really got, I mean, honestly, if you want to go see, this is probably Juice's best match ever. So if you really want to go see what Juice has turned into since going to New Japan, go watch this. But Goto, I think also the crowd's a bit confused because they're ready here to chant for Goto, and they're watching him just get beat, the ever living crap out of him, and they're sort of confused, I think, and so like, well, Goto's not doing anything for us to chant for him, so you had some stray Juice chants, whatever, but. Like, by the end, when Goto just quickly does it to the point where I think the crowd doesn't even really have a chance to honestly react to the fact that Goto finally got control and ended it either.
I mean, I think that's a fair assessment, but like I said earlier, the Sapporo crowd, these guys had to do everything they could to drag him into this. And this is one of those where you needed Juice to look good in the defense because this is the first time you're really putting him up on that pedestal as a standalone effort and letting him look good and going out there to show what he's got. And if Goto didn't give him as much, I don't think this would have hurt Juice a lot more than the runaway success I think this was for him.
Yeah, and then that continues here to the IWGP Tag Team title match. The three-way, the first of two three-ways. They're going to repeat this match on the next Osaka show. I have no idea why they're doing this. Seems like a lot of overkill, Ghetto, but okay. So you have Ishii and Yano taking on Makabe and Hanma and the Killer Elite Squad of Davey Boy Smith and Lance Archer. And, you have some neat double teams here. You do get the square off between Ishii and Davey Boy that I think Paul wanted. And, you get Yano doing Yano stuff, and that is kind of what plays into the end with, Ishii kicking butt and then Yano doing his low blow and then roll up on Makabe for the win.
I tell you what, I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I was going to. It's still that same chaotic atmosphere that you had at Wrestle Kingdom, just with the guys who are a lot more willing, I guess to say, to go out there and just stiff the crap out of each other. And boy, did Ishii and Smith give me what I wanted.
Yeah.
Jesus, I'm still confident that Killer Elite Squad walks out of New Beginning at some point with these championships, and it wasn't here. And if Ishii and Yano get the rematch singles wise, I shouldn't say singles, one team against one team later on, I'm going to be completely okay with that. But boy, Words can't express how much I've missed Killer Elite Squad from New Japan shows.
Yeah, they were absolutely just whooping on people, and I loved it. And I want to see more. I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see if they can top this
hmm
on Saturday. I mean, what else they got in the tank here to make it different? But this was, like you said, better than I thought it was going to be, and a nice little refresh before you get to the main event. And what a main event we would have, because once again, Mr. Okada defending his IWGP title, this time against Minoru Suzuki, and once again, the man has to go 40 minutes plus against someone, and once again, has his leg just obliterated. I mean, I don't know what other word you can come up with here for how to destroy something, but I really don't know how Okada was what. This is the time where if you want to throw around the word shot off like a shotgun for someone's leg, this is what Suzuki did to Okada's leg. And I mean, he did everything he could to that leg. He did every kind of submission you could to the leg. Okada just would not give up, and they got into a slap fest, which was amazing. More Suzuki than Okada. Okada was just, I think, and that's, if people don't get that too. I mean, I don't know that he was really thinking about this, but when you have to use that leg to plant and do almost anything, that also hurts how forcefully you can punch, slap, or anything else.
Right.
So, like, Okada's being very weak compared to Suzuki just slapping the shit out of him. That was to be expected. Of course, Okada just going with what brung him, going with a bunch of rainmakers to finish it. But, man, this was great.
I tell you what, this match had so much storytelling in it that I think, and I think Larry also hit it on the head, that I don't think this match is everybody's cup of tea either. But this is certainly something that was geared towards storytelling, especially for Okada and Suzuki to a greater effect too. But Okada going into this had two incredible title defenses, not only of course against Kenny Omega at Wrestle Kingdom, but against jeez, how am I blanking on his name already? No, a guy. We just talked about him.
Marufuji?
Yeah. Him and Marufuji had a brutal match. He has another brutal match with Omega, and then he has this one on top. Like, Okada is getting run the hell down in these title matches, and I think that's going to play much further because it really looks like whoever's winning the New Japan Cup has a terrific shot of dethroning Okada. And I think Suzuki just the word I think you were looking for is an abbreviation. It's FUBAR, effed up beyond all recognition, because that's what he did to Okada's leg. Like that. It was disgusting how zeroed in he was on it. And Suzuki looks like such a giant badass, not only for what he did to Okada, but I mean, there's a lot of interference in this too. And he makes all those Chaos guys just look like a bunch of chumps, just slapping them and beating them down. And he's scary. He looks super terrifying coming out of this. And we talk a lot about Shibata wanted to win G1. I think Suzuki just made that list too, because God, he looked tremendous in this, and this was so good. And I don't have enough words. Like, obviously, it's not the same affair we got at Wrestle Kingdom. This was great on a completely different level. And I mean, you want to talk about Okada showing range? This is definitely a great example.
Yeah, he sold so well.
Yeah.
The people that complain about he didn't sell the wrong leg, or he didn't have this problem in this match. I mean, yeah, like you said though, don't watch this when you're half asleep.
Mm-hmm.
Watch this with some coffee in you, or energy drink, or whatever the hell it is you drink to get you awake. Because this is slow, it's grinding, but it's telling you a story.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great story. If you don't really like submission wrestling, or where they key on the limb or whatever, then I don't know what to tell you. But this is a terrific. Just I don't with everything that's in here, in this 41 minutes of action, that you can
Straight
call
up
it that.
murder.
Yeah, just disassembling a body part that happens. It's I mean like, and Okada just screaming and like every time he gets put in a different submission, like when he puts that knee bar in after he'd already been in the
Oh.
figure four and he already put in a knee hold on the barricade and everything else, you're like, oh my god, this man, he's taking so much. God, just stop, like tap out, dude, just tap out. I mean, uh, I would have. You're almost expecting him to tap out. You're like, oh my god, well, how is he not?
I think it's
Like,
that the same feeling from the Takahashi Kushida match at Wrestle Kingdom 11, where you felt like the opponent is gonna rip that body part off of that person and then beat him to death with it. That's
right.
what it felt like.
Just seriously, this is one of the great matches already of February, and we're 7 days into it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know where it's gonna stand when we get to the end of February, but really, you definitely should go watch this match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think you could really recommend it high enough. Like you said, I don't think this is everybody's cup of tea, because I know there are a lot of people who aren't really into the long-term grappling, and I am not okay with it to a certain extent, but everything they're doing in this has a purpose. They're telling you a story. Absolutely worth your time.
And it's because Suzuki is so different,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, you don't get guys like Suzuki all the time. This is what he does, and we haven't seen him in a long time unless you've been watching Noah matches, which this is normal for him because Noah matches go exceedingly unnecessarily long for no reason. But this one was fine. This one worked for that long bit of time to be able to tell that story. And honestly, I think it works on all levels. I'm now hyped for that Osaka show and see what they do there.
Yeah, I mean, these guys meet again in the 6-man. It's going to be real interesting to see Okada selling the leg and how that carries over, if it does. Because all we know, he could shake it off, but I doubt it.
I mean, he still had the tape on there from Wrestle Kingdom, so
yeah,
I'm pretty sure
fingers crossed.
He'll have, like, if I'm him, I'm having tape all the way from my ankle to, like,
tape the whole leg,
the thigh or whatever. Like, just they really sell that thing. Did you listen to it on the English?
I did. Did you?
No, I did not. But I mean, how did Mr. Callis do for his first time?
If you remember his run in ECW or his brief dalliance in the WWF with the Truth Commission or anything like that, he sounds exactly the same as he did back then. And I think him and Kevin Kelly, they don't gel together, obviously, as well as Carino and Kelly did, but Carino and Kelly obviously were working together for a long time. I certainly think they could get to that level. I think Don wasn't overly intrusive of Kelly. He let Kevin really handle the show, and he would pipe in here and there with little bits. But I think they worked pretty well together. Something I would recommend if you're ever interested in listening to the English commentary. Sean, I know you prefer the Japanese, but if you ever do, I mean, it's not bad at all.
Yeah, I mean, I've always liked Kevin Kelly on commentary, so I definitely will check him out one of these times. It's just for the big events. I like the Japanese commentary. Like, if they ever get one of these road twos to have commentary, or if I ever have time to go back and watch some matches or whatever, I'll probably listen to it just to see how he is. But good that he has things on the ready for him, and hopefully him and Kelly keep getting better.
Yeah.
So I heard that it was more like he's a bit more serious, whereas Carino's sometimes had that comedy in there.
Mm-hmm. It was all very directed towards telling the story of the match, talking about the moves, talking about the wrestlers. Like, it's very straight laced, and I mean, whenever the chick with Taichi came out, that was really the only time where it got to what Carino did, right? Where you're talking about the pretty ladies and stuff like that.
Right. Well, what do you think for a rating for this show?
The undercard was fine. It's not stellar. And if you're interested in certain things, then it's certainly going to hit you. I think all the title matches either delivered or over-delivered in some cases. 7.5, I think is what I'm going to go with.
I think that's fair. I think you get the main event gets the extra 0.5 by itself, and just the atmosphere around it. And again, this wasn't the greatest crowd, as Paul's mentioned numerous times. They really had to fight for anything, and when you're in that uphill battle, I mean, for me, that affects like my thoughts on matches. Like you can watch a match and know that it's great and have no crowd reaction and think the crowd's crazy, but to me, like when the crowd's going nuts or when they're really enjoying something, that really helps me get into a match a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So without having that, which you really only got that for the main event, honestly.
Yeah.
When that absence is there, it hurts the match in a sense to me. But like I really hated it for Juice because you go to different places, that dude would have been getting chance at that point, and Goto would have been there. Would have at least been dueling chance, or anything. I think even the other title matches as well would have gotten something. So definitely, like you said, the title matches all delivered in a way. There was nothing outside of the main event. There's nothing great. I think you definitely should watch Juice and Goto for sure, just to see how Juice has really grown. If you haven't watched him since NXT, or you've only watched some of his early stuff when he first got there and whatever. And of course, the main event, again, can't recommend it enough. Go watch it. I want to note that don't watch it at 6 in the morning or whatever. Watch it when you're fully awake, and have the 40 minutes dedicated to it or whatever. But so a good show. That really, I think when we were looking at it, we were doing the roundtable, like I think everybody kind of had this, well, I think it'd be a good show, but I don't think anything's going to totally stand out. And I think even Tom was like, based on Okada, Suzuki before wrestling, they didn't have these great matches or whatever. He was kind of sort of like, well, I'm not expecting a whole lot of the show. And I think definitely they delivered their best match together ever. And that really helped this show be better. I think that also kind of comes with, I still see so many people hating on the fact that Okada won, he's still champion, and that they're so tired of Okada being champion, or that he sucks as a face, or whatever. I mean, like, I just don't get it. The dude keeps delivering. He delivers every single time. I mean, I don't know what you want out of this guy. He's freaking 29. We could see him wrestle for like another 10, 15 years, and he could still be this great. God, why don't you want to appreciate that?
He's only gotten better. This might be his best run with the title so far. Not just based on the type of defenses he's had, or against the people he has been, because he's probably faced arguably some of the best that Japan has either ever had or has going right now. But I mean, just the storytelling, I think, from defense to defense to defense, like the dude is getting more out bad. And when you get to that next defense, like, I mean, what if somebody comes out of nowhere, wins the New Japan Cup, and suddenly they win the IWGP Heavyweight title? I mean, it could happen if they decide to go that shocking route. And I kind of hope they do. But then again, I mean, I still have Kenny Omega winning the New Japan Cup. So, well, I mean, it's anybody's ball game right now when it comes to that main title.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, the booking is being well done for it right now too. But ever since when we started covering there for the podcast, like outside of certain G1 matches where especially like the last year's G1 where there was nights where he obviously took days off because hell you can't just go 100% every time.
You can't be on for 20 days.
Yeah, like the dude he's had great matches with everybody. I mean, I don't know why you hate not wanting to. Look, I'll give you this. I'll definitely say that the dude has a formula about himself, and he has his all his greatest hits that he's got to get in and all that stuff, but nobody does a closing stretch better than Okada, and he has a way of melding all that in where you're like, okay, I've seen this all before, but he finds a way to make it all work, and he makes you want to see it again.
He may not be as great as Tanahashi is at playing up to his opponent's strengths, but he certainly has that same ability. I feel like each of his title defenses feels different, even though you're still getting some of the same stuff. The situation and the aura and just the way the match progresses, I feel is very different. Even though he like from God, how am I blanking on his name again? From Omega to Marufuji. Yeah, I mean, two very similar workers in the way that they work as far as Omega and Marufuji go in hard hitting, lots of knees, junior heavyweight sort of heavyweight style. They felt incredibly different. And I don't think that's something that you can really short sell.
Yeah, all three of these title defenses have been absolutely tremendous, great matches, that we're all talking about the month after they happen, or, that whole month that they happen in and after that. Mm-hmm. And, so, I mean, this is going to be interesting what they do with this title, with New Japan Cup coming up, and so many different possibilities. I don't think people thought Goto was going to win that thing again last year. So, Kenny Omega could win, or they could just have somebody else win.
Yeah.
It's gonna be really, really a thing to watch coming in after these New Beginning shows and heading into still got the anniversary show before then, if Okada has a title defense or anything like that. So, yeah, exciting times again. And on Saturday in the morning, or whenever you feel like watching it, the Osaka show with the headliner of Mr. Tetsuya Naito and Michael Elgin going at it, and you also get Hiromu Takahashi defending his title against why can't I think of his name?
Dragon Lee.
Dragon Lee. That's gonna be another freaking tremendous match. The 3-way for the tag titles again. The 6-man tag titles, which should be fun because you got the 3 old men against the other parts of Los Ingobernables. So yeah, should be
Ospreay and Shibata for the Rev Pro title too.
Oh my God,
that could be sneaky good.
Yeah, you got tremendous headline matches there. Of course, we'll try to have that round table out Thursday or Friday, and yeah, until then, everybody, we will see you. We'll probably do the show on Sunday since we're already going to be doing an Elimination Chamber review that Sunday as well. So
makes sense to me.
But alrighty, until then, everybody, we will see you later.
Take it easy, guys.
The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.